In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you step by step how to create this landing page using Divi and WooCommerce. So here we have this main hero area. We also have the latest products area here. I also show you how to add these products in WooCommerce and also show you how to create this section. Now you may be wondering, how do we design this footer and header? Now this comes from my Genesis template. It's only $7. All you have to do is to purchase it using the link in my video description below. And to install it is also very straightforward. I also have a dedicated video that shows you how to install it. Now the reason why you may want to use this Genesis template is because it just saves you time creating a header and a footer for your websites. It's universal. It can be used on many websites, different types of websites, and so on. And it's also fully responsive. So without wasting a lot of time, let's dive in and let's get started. So before we get started, I'd like to remind you that if you buy Divi using my affiliate link, I will give you access to the web design formula. Now, this is a course which teaches you from scratch how to design professional looking websites with Divi. A lot is covered in there, so by the end of the course, you're going to become a Divi professional. All right, let's dive in and let's get started with our tutorial. So over here, the very first thing you want to do is to make sure you install WooCommerce, because this plugin is the plugin that allows us to sell our products online. It's absolutely free, so go ahead and install it. The next stage now is to add our products. So I've already gone ahead and added my products, but let me just show you how easy it is to add the products. So all you have to do is to mouse over here, click on Add New. And this will give you the option to add your products. So I'm just going to call this product A as a demo. And then over here is where you want to add your description for your product. And then on the bottom here, you want to add your price. So let's say this is 99. And then on the right side here, you can add your category. So in this case, I'll just call it flowers. And then this is the most important part. Make sure you set your featured image. So let's say this is my featured image, set product image. And then now our product has a description. It has a product name, and it's also assigned to a category, and it also has an image. So pretty much that's what you need to do to create a product. So I've gone ahead and created my 3 products. I'm just going to click leave here so I can show you where these products are. So as you can see here, I've got flower A, flower B, flower C. Great. So let's just trash this. So the next stage now is to start working on our main page. So I'm going to come over here to all pages, and then I'm going to click on Add New. So you can decide what name you want for your main page. So here I'm just going to call it My Shopping. Click on Use Divi Builder. And then for this design, we're going to build from scratch. So I'm going to click on Build from Scratch. All right. So before we get started here with our design, the very first thing we need to do is to add a full width header. Now, full width headers are great because they really display the main hero image of the website. And this is why I really like using this. So I'm going to click here on Add New Section, and then I'm going to choose full width. Now over here, you want to select full width header. Now there's a few things that we may need to add here. So I'm just going to come over here to design, click on layout, and we want our content here centered, and we also want to make this full screen. So this is just going to take over the main page of the screen. All right, so with that selected, I'm just going to save because we're going to come back and revisit this at a later stage. Now over here on the top, you notice that we have a blank section. So what we need to do is to drag this below, and then we want to click here on this plus button to add our row. So for our very first row here, I'm just going to add a single column, close that. And then I'm just going to duplicate this because we're going to need 2 of these rows. Now, the first one here is going to have our main section heading. So I'm going to click on this plus button and choose text for my text module. And then I'm just going to highlight all that and just call this latest products. And then we also need to center this. So I'm going to come over here to my text, and then I'm going to scroll all the way down here and center it. All right, so I'm going to save that. And then over here, we also want to add another module. Now this module here, I keep forgetting its name, but if I scroll down here, I should be able to find it soon. So let's have a look. It's My Shop actually. So let me just search for My Shop or Shop. Oh, there we go. So it's called Shop. So what this does now, it pulls our products that we created later on, and you can see here, earlier on. So you can see here, these are my 3 products that I created. Now you can further customize this by coming over here to recent products. Now it says here product view type. So this can be recent products. If you click on this drop down, it also shows you the featured products, sale products, and so on. So here I'm just going to leave it on featured products because that's the latest stuff that we've added here. Product count, we can set them to whatever we want here. So in this case, I'm just going to set it to 3 because I only have 3 products, but you can also have 4, 5, or whatever it is. Now on the column layout, I'm going to choose 3 columns because I have 3 products. So that way we won't have a misbalanced layout. Right, so now that we have our products here, the next stage now is to just go in and customize this text. So I'm going to click here on this little plus button, on this brush tool, and this is going to take us directly to our font. So I'm going to come over here and choose Play Fade Display, change this to bold, make it slightly bigger. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. And then I'm going to come over here to the price. Again, I'm going to click into that, change the font here. I really like that. Make it bigger. So I'll say about 20 is fine. And then let's save for now. So notice that I haven't gone in and started adding all my colors yet. I'm going to go back in and start doing that. All right, so I have my main content here for my products. Next, let's add another section. I'm going to click here on new row. So I'm going to go with 2/3, 1/3. So the very first thing I'm going to do to this row is to this section is to go in to section settings, click on background, and we are going to start off by adding a color here in the background. So I'm going to click on this plus button and add my background color. And also here on the design, click on spacing. So in spacing here, we want to get rid of the padding and we don't need any margins here as well. Save that. And I'm also going to do the same here on this row section. So I'm going to click here on rows, design, spacing. I'm going to add 0. Now you'll know in a moment why I'm adding this, because this is something that I usually do when I need my design to look a certain way. Right, so I've added my padding here, both at the top and the bottom. I've set it to 0. The next stage now is to just make sure that this row, just goes all the way to the edge of the page. So to do that, I'm going to come over here to design, and then I need to go to sizing. So click here on sizing. So here on the gutter width, before we do the sizing, is to reduce this because the gutter width is the space between the columns. So I've totally got rid of that by setting this to 1. And then width here, I'm going to set this to 100%. And then I'm also going to set my maximum width here to 100%. So whatever information we're going to add onto this section is going to be edge to edge. So next I'm going to save this, and then over here now, I'm going to start by adding an image. So I'm going to search for my image module here. And in this area here, I'm going to add an image, and I'm going to go with this one here. Upload an image. So now you can see the image here is Flash. It's pretty much taken over that whole column. So now I'm going to add, in fact, let's save this. Over here, I'm going to add a text module. Go ahead and select that. Now you can see here, in fact, you know what? You can't see the text. So let's go in and change the color here. So over here on the text, I'm going to change this to white. And now you can, read it much easier. What I normally do, in fact, let's go to Lorem 2 because I like using my dummy text for this because my typing skills are not very, very good. So let's go ahead and just copy a paragraph from here. And over here on the contents, go into the text, and then I'm just going to replace this with my text. Okay, now you can see that my text here, in fact, let me save this so you can see this clearly. You can see this now that my text is all the way to the edge of this column. That's not how we want things to look. So let's go in and fix that. So I'm going to go back in here into my row settings, and I'm going to go into my first column, click on design, spacing, and I can now add my padding. So let's start with 10% to the left and 10% to the right. And then I'm also going to do 10% to the top. Okay, so you may want to increase that to maybe about 20%. Now let's save this and let's take a look and see how it looks. Actually, that looks much better. But when it comes to setting your padding here, it's very important that you go in and also check in the mobile settings and make sure that everything looks great. But before we do that, I just want to come over here to my text and just come over here to design text and just change this from pop-ins to play fade display. And I'm going to increase the size of this to about, let's say 34. And then I'm also going to add my line height. So let's start with 1.5. So that's a bit too much, as you can see. So let's go to 1.4. Okay, that's much better. I think I like that. So now, while we are here on the text, I'm going to go into my tablet view and see what that looks like. And as you can see here, it's not too bad, but you know what? I want to center this on mobile devices. So to achieve that, I'm just going to come over here to alignment and make sure you click here on this little icon. So on the tablet here, I want it centered, and let's take a look at the phone. The phone is centered as well. But as you can see on the phone, the text here is way too big. So I'm going to reduce that to about 26. And let's take a look at the tablet. Tablet maybe just a little bit. So I'm going to go with 32. So 32 works great here for the tablet. But as you can see, on the bottom here, our text is all the way to the edge. So we need to fix that. So I'm going to save this. Then I'm just going to scroll back up here. Go into my row settings. Right, so over here on design, let's go to spacing. So in here is where we need to make our changes for our mobile views. So I'm going to click here on tablet. And on the bottom here, let's see if I can get away with 10%. And it looks okay. And I'm going to add 10% to the top as well. Actually, you know what? Maybe this needs to be 20%, both to the top and the bottom. So I'm going to activate this chain. So I think that looks much better now. On the phone, 20 is fine. So these are the tweaks that I've just made for my mobile views. So make sure you go in and adjust your views to make sure everything looks great. All right, so I'm pretty much happy with that. So I'm just going to save one more time. Now let's work on this main hero area. So on this hero area here, the most important thing is to find a really good image, because this is what's going to make this design really shine. So I'm going to go into my settings here, click on background, and I'm going to start by adding a background color. And then over here, in fact, you know what? Let's add our background color on the actual text module itself. That will save us a lot of time. So I'm going to go into my module settings here, and all the way down here to background, we're going to change this color to this very dark gray. And then on the third tab, we're going to add our image, and the image I'm going to go with is this one here, which is pretty much, flowers. And bottom here on image blend, now this is really cool. If I come over here, I can choose overlay, and now you can see I've just darkened that image just by changing my blend mode. So pretty much I'm happy with the way it looks now. I'm going to save that. Now we need to play around with the text here and the button. So let's start with our main text. So I'm just going to copy a bit of our lorem text here, go into my settings, and then I'm just going to replace that. Next, I'm just going to grab a paragraph of text and just add it here as well. All right, now let's head over here to design. So let's start with our heading. So our heading here is going to have our play for display as our main image. I'm just going to crank this up to about 58. And let's see what it looks like if I make it bold. Does that look great? I think that looks fine. Okay, let's move on to the next item. And here is, let's change this to pop-ins. Right, so now I'm going to increase the size. And let's increase the line height. So I'm going to start here with 1.7. Yeah. Okay, looks like nothing happened there. Okay, let's go with 1.8. So that's looking great, but you know what? I'm quite nervous here because I'm not sure how this looks like on the mobile devices. So I'm going to come back over here and just target my main heading. And what we need here is the size. So I'm going to click here on this little icon, click on tablet. So on tablet here, we can see, yeah, it's okay. And let's check on the phone. And the phone is okay. But you know what? If you want to make some adjustments to that, you can just drag this down to about, let's say, 44. But we can see here that this text is a bit too much. So let's fix this as well while we're here. So our body text size, while I'm in the tablet here, I'm just going to reduce this a little bit to about, let's go with 16. And then on the tablet here, I think 20 is fine. And on the desktop, 20 is okay as well. Now let's move on to the button. So I'm going to come over here And with the button here, we need to activate use custom styles for button, because this is what allows us to go in and make our customizations to the actual button. All right. So next we are going to head over here to our button 1 background. So let's add our background color here. So we're going to go with that for our background color. Border width, we don't need a border width here. Border radius, we don't need border radius either. Now you can see here our font doesn't look great because it doesn't have our main font. So I'm going to change that to Poppins. And pretty much, I think that's okay with that button. But as you can see, the button here doesn't really stand out. So what you may want to do is to change the color here by going here to your color palette. So you can start by adding a brighter color and just play around with these and see which one actually works. So I can see that this one here really stands out, from the background here. So I'm going to go with that one. So I'm pretty much happy with that. So next, I'm going to come over here to advanced, scroll effects, blur, enable blur. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to add this blur effect. So let's set this to about, let's say 4. And our starting here is going to be 4 as well. Right, so let's test it. So if we start scrolling here, you can see that when we reach that point, it gets blurry. But you know what? We need to increase the time it's blur on the actual screen. So let's bring this down to about 25 and 75. So now let's drag it again. I think that's much better. Okay, so the mid blur, make sure it's set to 0, because if you add any values here, it's just going to make it much difficult to read here. So our main hero area is done. I'm going to save that. Now let's move on and let's work on our section title here. So I'm going to go into my settings and I'm going to click here on design. Let's target my text here and okay, let's leave it as Poppins, but the next thing we're going to do is to just change this to all caps, and we're going to add some letter spacing, make it slightly bigger. I'll go with 18. Okay, so I think that looks great. So next, let's just give this a color. So for our text color here, I'm just going to add this really pinkish color. And we also need to make some customizations here to our text on the bottom here. But before we do that, let's add a background color to this section. So I'm going to go ahead, click here on background and click on this plus button. So the color we're going to use here is a light cyan. So I'm going to paste it. Yeah, I think that looks nice. Okay, so let's save that. And the next thing we need to do now is to just work on the colors of the text here. So the color I'm going to go with is the dark gray that we used from our palette. So I'm going to go ahead, click here and just target my title here. And I'm going to paste my dark gray in here. And then save. All right, so finally on this section here, I'm going to give this a bit of breathing space. So I'm just going to set this to about, let's say 100 padding for the top and the bottom. And now everything seems to look great. Now there's also something that you can add here, and that is maybe a divider as a design element. So right now I can't add a new module here. So I'm going to click here on expand settings, head over to wireframe view. And the section that we need is this one right here, which has the shop. So I'm going to click on this plus button and search for my divider module. Select it. And then I'm just going to switch back over here. And now let's take a look at our divider. So to design it, we need to come over here to design, click on line, and now let's use a color that we've used before. Now it's very important here that you want to use colors that are in your color palette. Don't just use any random colors. Okay, so let's go to sizing, and here I'm going to increase the weight a little bit, but not too much that it overpowers the text. So I'm going to leave it here at 2. And then I'm just going to reduce this all the way down to about, let's say 18% and center it. Okay, so that's now going to just act as a design element for our main section title. So let's save that. But you know what? We're not done yet, because here we also have this overlay. So you can see here when I hover over here, this doesn't look great. So let's go back in and fix that. So for our overlay, we're going to come over here to design. And I think we need to use also a color here from our color palette, and it's going to be this pinkish color. So let's look for overlay. So we're going to come over here to image. Anyway, let me click on this little arrow here. And you know what? Overlay is right here on the top. So I was just spending so much time trying to look for it here. But anyway, here it is. I'm going to click here on add color. So that's going to be my overlay color. And right away, you can see here that when I mouse over this area here, it really takes over. But that's not how we want it. We want to reduce this, add some transparency to that. Now you can see we have this really nice pinkish color. And that also works with our branding. Okay. I think that looks great. So the next stage is to also set our icon color. So this one here can go as white, as you can see here, but we want to change the actual icon here. And let's go with, you know what? I'm going to go with this plus, but with this plus sign. But as you can see here, there's quite a lot of icons that we can use. Or maybe I can just go with this chain. Yeah, I'll go with that. Right, so I'm going to save that. Now, over here on the top and all the way down here at the bottom, you can see we don't have any headers and footers. Now, this is not really cool. So in fact, you know what? Let me just publish this and do a quick preview and take a look at that. Right, so if I exit the Visual Builder here, so this is our link. So here we just have the default header, but you know what? Everything looks great here. I really like the way this has come up. And also, as you can see, this blur effect is also working. I know it's very subtle. And if you mouse over here, you can see here that this overlay is working great too. And we also have this beautiful section with some text over here. Now let's work on our header and footer. Now for this, I created a template called Genesis. Now this template is great because all it does, it brings you a complete design of how you can work on your headers and footers. Now let me show you how to actually add this template. So over here, now by the way, the template is only $7. So go ahead and purchase it. The link to that will be in the video description below. Right, so I'm just going to close this and let's refresh this. So in your case, if you haven't added any headers and footers, this is what you're going to get. So to add our footer, after you've bought it, you can just click here and then click on import. And then here you can see it says override default template. All I have to do now is just click here to select the file. Now mine here is on the desktop. Click open, import templates. Now, what this template does is it has the design for the header, the footer, the 404 page, and the search results page. Right, so it looks like everything has been added. Now I can just click on Save Changes. Now, when I come over here and refresh, you can see now that we have a header here. And when I scroll, you can see it shrinks a little bit. And all the way down here to the bottom, you can see now that we have this design right here. So This template is also very, very easy to customize. So you can see here that this color here does not work with our design. So let's fix that by coming back over here to our global footer. And what we're going to do here on our global footer is change this color here. So I'm going to click on my section settings, click on background, and I'm going to start here with the second color, override that with this color here, go on to the first one, because for this design, I just want to have a solid color, right? Now it's added, save that. Now I can also go in and customize my logo here. So let's click on expand settings so I can access my logo. So here's my logo right here. Switch over to the front end. Right, so now I can go into design, sizing, and just play around with the size of my logo here, bring it down to about, let's say, 44%. And what I can also do is to add some margin. So let's go to spacing, and we are going to add a bottom margin just so that we can separate my heading from the text. Okay, let's save that. And that looks much better already. Now, all you have to do now is to go in and just change the links to the rest of the pages. But we're not going to do that now. I'm going to save that. Now, let me show you how you can customize the header as well. So I'm going to click here on this little pencil icon, and we're going to do the same. We're going to go into the header and just resize our logo by clicking here on our settings, design, sizing, and for my logo here, I'm just going to bring this down to about, I think I'll go with 6. Yeah, that looks much better. I'm going to save that. So pretty much our design is complete. We have a header, we have a footer, and we also have a beautiful landing page. Now let's take a look at our final design by refreshing this page. And there we go. So we have our main header area here, and we can also search. And let me just show you what the search results page looks like. So if I click on, let's say, cakes, we know we don't have cakes on this page, but let's take a look and see what it looks like. So our search results page here, you can see it's well designed. We'll go back over here. And when I scroll, you can see it's shrinking, and my logo is the right size. And all the way down here at the bottom, now we have a footer. So pretty much that is how you design a shop or WooCommerce landing page. So if you follow this step by step, you should be able to get with the similar results. All right, guys, so that's pretty much what I have for you in today's tutorial. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you have any questions regarding this, you can leave your questions in the comments box below. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.